Hello and welcome to my money saving snow tips, which if you've been watching regularly this winter, you'll know is now been rebranded COVID saving snow tips. Kicking off the show as always with a little tour of the Alps to find out what's going on, the good, the bad, and of course the ugly, which seems to be quite regular. Good news this week, the rollout of the vaccine. That means that by the end of the season, we should be returning to some kind of new normal. The bad news, Christmas, New Year, almost certainly out. Let's find out how they're doing in each of the separate countries though. France definitely shut down until January. Andorra is taking the same stance as France and Spain, it looks, and won't be open until January. Italy, the Prime Minister has asked that no one goes skiing until January. That's a recommendation, not a law at this stage. France and Germany are still lobbying the EU to make it a law that no one can open until early to mid-January at this stage. The two countries going rogue though are Austria and Switzerland. Both of them resisting, but not for international travel. It's been classed in both countries as domestic tourism. That's what they're looking for. In Austria, they're not going to open up hotels overnight, but there'll be Christmas Eve skiing for locals. So whatever that means. But interestingly, off the back of this, British operators have reported a huge surge in interest in holidays in Switzerland as soon as they announced that they would be open for Christmas, New Year. Should you book? Should you take advantage of this? It's a really difficult balance because on the one hand, you've got the responsibility of spreading the virus first and foremost. But on the other hand, you've got an industry in freefall which desperately needs people to support it. I think on balance, for me, I don't think it's worth the risk of taking a Christmas, New Year holiday, even if you can. Right now in Switzerland, yes, you can get in without quarantine, but it's a 14-day quarantine coming out of Switzerland. Macron said a very similar thing. There will be heavy penalties for anyone nipping across the border from France into Switzerland because of that risk of bringing the virus back. I think, as I said last week, I talked about Easter breaks. I think that is the answer right now because you've got warmer temperatures, easier to social distance and way less risk of your holidays getting cancelled. And that actually leads me nicely into the theme of this week's episode. End of the season. If you're working remotely at the moment or if you're working from home, have you considered working from a ski resort? If you're not working, if you're at home until late spring, early summer, then there's nothing stopping you, if the restrictions drop off and your insurance will cover it, from heading out to the Alps. It's a very early Easter this year. It starts on the 2nd of April, so it'll be done on the 15th of April. So it's very likely that you could go out and get 2, maybe 3 weeks in the higher resorts like Teen or Stubai or Zermatt of late season skiing. You could actually go out there and there'll definitely be some very, very cheap deals on offer. I'm going to link to some of those in the text. But you can also look at the end of March even, those weeks beforehand. But as we said in previous episodes, there is pent-up frustration to get out there and go skiing. So I think when it opens up, things are going to get snapped up very, very quickly. I've put an episode out before on how to get out to the Alps this winter, so you can check that out, but there's some links in the text as well. But then I'll also put in some hostels and some really good self-catering links. Go and check Airbnb and HomeAway as usual, and as I always say, check with the individual on those self-catering websites as to their cancellation policies. The key part of this though, the first thing you want to look at is insurance, and we're going to be going over that next week to find out exactly what you're covered for and how to get hold of the best insurance cover at this time. And I also want to say thanks to the partners who are supporting Money Saving Snow Tips this winter, because it's actually a 3-person team that it takes to put this all together. I know it looks really simple, but actually it's a bit more involved. So thank you to Planet Ski EU, one of the best news sites out there. They've got all of the latest headlines, especially surrounding Corona. Snow Forecast, always pushing the videos. If you want to go over and see them and punish yourself looking at how much snow is falling in the Alps and how much is forecast, go and enjoy yourself over there. I promise you it's bittersweet. And then of course Intersport, they're running one of the best COVID friendly operations out in the Alps at the moment. They promise queueless systems. You can queue on your phone, so when you get into the shop to try on all of your gear, it's socially distanced. And interestingly, they've got touring gear and split boards available this winter. So if you want to get way away from everyone, you've got the opportunity to do that as well. One person who I think deserves a mention as well, she's been doing a sterling job, not just as in her day job as a journalist for The Telegraph, but also as an independent on Twitter. She's punching out some really good content. Go and check out Lucy Aspden on Twitter. I'll put a link to her handle in the text. As always though, the gold on these episodes comes from your comments and advice in the text and comments. So make sure you populate those as always. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.